I brought in a big plastic bucket filled with first-run issues of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from '84 to some stuff in the early '90s.
We could only choose a few items.
Sometimes pop culture history begins in the most unexpected places. What started as a simple connection in a local restaurant becomes part of the origin story of a global phenomenon. This collection centers around Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, who founded Mirage Studios in 1983. The first issue, released in 1984, became an immediate success and quickly expanded into television games and film. One of the key pieces here is a first edition, first printing of issue number 1, one of the most important books in modern comic collecting. Equally compelling is an early drawing attributed to Kevin Eastman, likely one of the earliest depictions of Leonardo, already showing a confident and recognizable style. A particularly rare item is a staff t-shirt from the Orchid restaurant featuring original artwork by Kevin Eastman and dated 1984. Items like this are extremely scarce, especially when signed and directly tied to the artist's early career. What makes this group even more significant is the personal connection. Early support, including financial help for printing, played a role in bringing the first issues to life.
If this was to go to auction, I'd put a conservative estimate of around $800, maybe $1,000. This, on the other hand, is great. It's a really early depiction, and the earlier, the better. If this was to go to auction, we put an estimate of $40,000 to $60,000 on it.
Whoa. Radical, man. I mean, it can't make up for the memories, but that's crazy.
They were my great-grandfathers. So my great-grandfather grew up in the same village as Joseph Hoffman in Czechoslovakia, and then they both moved to Vienna, and then my great-grandfather wanted to support him in his designs, and so he acquired these.
These pieces are associated with Joseph Hoffmann, one of the leading figures of the Wiener Werkstätte, a design collective founded in 1903 in Vienna. Hoffmann was born in 1870 and trained as an architect, but his influence extended across furniture, metalwork, glass, and textiles. The Wiener Werkstätte brought together artists and craftsmen to create unified works of art, and these objects reflect that philosophy. Each piece is hand-hammered silver, showing the precision and discipline that defined Hoffmann's design approach. On the underside, the marks confirm their origin. You have the Wiener Werkstätte mark Hoffmann's initials and the maker's mark of the craftsman who executed the work. The number 900 silver indicates a high silver content slightly below sterling, but still of excellent quality. Dating to around 1910 to 1915, these pieces come from the height of the Wiener Werkstätte, a period considered one of the most influential in early 20th century design. Whether used as decorative vessels or as cash pots, they represent a perfect balance between function and modernist form.
I think a retail replacement value for them would be in the $30,000 to $50,000 range.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow, I had no idea. Holy cow. I should probably I should probably take better care of them, keep them better. Wow. Oh my God. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
I brought a necklace that was given to me as a wedding gift. It belonged to my great-grandmother. I believe it was actually a gift for her 18th birthday. So I imagine it would be the 1910s.
Elegance and engineering meet in this exquisite pendant watch by Cartier, a piece that transforms timekeeping into wearable art. Created between 1910 and 1915 in Paris, it reflects the refined aesthetic of the Edwardian era, often associated with the Belle Époque, when luxury objects were defined by delicacy detail and craftsmanship. Formed in platinum and yellow gold, the watch is richly set with rose-cut diamonds and natural pearls, hallmarks of early 20th century design. Deep blue guilloche enamel on the reverse adds a luminous layered effect achieved through a precise, hard-fired technique. The diamond set initials ES indicate a custom commission, giving the piece a uniquely personal origin. At its core is a finely made movement produced in collaboration with Jaeger-LeCoultre, reflecting Cartier's commitment to both beauty and precision. Every surface, every detail reveals a level of artistry that defines the house at its peak. Preserved with its original presentation case, it remains a rare expression of craftsmanship and legacy. A jewel where time itself becomes part of the design.
Retail price on this watch is going to be $25,000 to $30,000.
Holy smokes, that's wild. Well, I better keep care of it. Safety deposit box, here we come.
Unbelievable condition and unbelievable to find it in the original box. It's awesome.
My great-grandfather purchased it at a flea market for $1 in South Paris, Maine, in the 1920s.
Some of the most important historical objects begin with the simplest stories. A $1 flea market find can sometimes carry centuries of history within it. What you have here is a Dutch flintlock musket likely dating to around 1735 to 1745. Unlike earlier examples that featured iron fittings, this one has a brass butt plate and trigger guard, indicating a slightly later production within that early period. The Netherlands was one of the largest sources of firearms in the 18th century, even before the rise of the Birmingham gun trade in England. While often compared to the British Brown Bess musket firearms like this, actually influenced those later designs. In many ways, Dutch gunmakers were ahead in developing these military patterns. What makes this example especially significant is the marking on the barrel indicating South Carolina. During the early 18th century, the British government purchased large numbers of Dutch muskets to arm the American colonies, often reusing existing weapons. The gun also retains a Dutch arsenal rack number, confirming its origin and military use. Most importantly, it remains completely original, an untouched example in what collectors call attic condition. This is not just a firearm, it is a rare and well-documented piece of early colonial history, preserved in remarkably authentic condition.
I would probably insure it in the range of $30,000 to $35,000. It's an incredibly difficult gun to replace. There are only a handful of known examples, and this is the best marked one I have seen.
Wow, really?
It's just everything that makes my heart go aflutter when I see just a wonderful piece of history like this.
It's my dad's guitar. He acquired it back in 1963. His mother bought it for him at a music store in Ardmore, Pennsylvania, and it had it shipped to him at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia.
Some instruments are more than just tools for music, they carry a lifetime of memories. This guitar is one of those rare pieces where history, craftsmanship, and personal story come together. This is a 1963 Martin D. 28, one of the most iconic acoustic guitars ever made by the Martin Guitar Company. Known as the Dreadnought, this large body design has been the standard for bluegrass and folk music since the 1930s. Founded in 1833, Martin Guitar Company moved from Germany to New York City and later to Nazareth, Pennsylvania, where it remains today. The D28 became their flagship model, prized for its powerful sound and reliability. The construction is classic. A spruce-top Brazilian rosewood back and sides and a mahogany neck. The use of Brazilian rosewood is especially significant as it is now rare and protected, making vintage examples highly desirable. The condition is remarkable, nearly mint, with its original case still intact. One technical issue is the need for a neck reset, a common adjustment for guitars of this era.
This guitar today, that retail, would bring between $12,000 and $12,500.
Wow. No way.
Yeah, no, really.
Holy. Wow. I am shocked.
It's really one of the nicest D28s I've ever seen. So,
No, come on.
yeah, beautiful.
Oh, he's going to be so excited.
This is a cast iron birdhouse. I remember at my grandparents' house, it was mounted on a post out in their yard. As a little kid, we would play, and it was always there, birds around it.
What looks like a simple birdhouse might actually be a hidden piece of American design history. At first glance, this is just a cast iron birdhouse, but a closer look reveals something extraordinary. It is a detailed miniature of Clifton House, a real architectural landmark in Roslyn Harbor, New York on Long Island. The original home was designed by Frederick Copley and built between 1862 and 1863 in the Flemish Gothic Revival style. Just a few years later, in 1868, the Miller Iron Company of Providence, Rhode Island, created this scaled version, confirmed by the patent 1868 mark. Originally produced in plain cast iron, the painted finish seen today was added later, likely in the early 20th century. While not original, it reflects period taste and adds visual appeal. One of the rarest features is the openwork base designed to mount the birdhouse on a pole outdoors. Very few surviving examples still retain this detail. Despite minor losses, the condition is remarkable for a piece of this age. In fact, similar examples can be found in major institutions like the Cooper Hewitt Smithsonian Design Museum and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. This is not just a decorative object. It is a rare piece of American Gothic revival. Decorative art blending architecture craftsmanship and history into one collectible form.
I would advise you to insure it for $12,000.
Wow. Really? I will definitely do that. Always been a dream to be here, so that's awesome. Thank you.
My father's turning 92 this year. He has had this vase since he was a kid. And the story he tells is that his aunt came to this country from Ireland and got a job as a housekeeper in one of the North Shore Long Island estates.
Hidden away for decades, this vase reveals a quiet brilliance rooted in one of America's most celebrated glassmakers. Created by Tiffany Studios around 1910 to 1911 in Corona, Queens, it belongs to the innovative category of paperweight glass, a technique that marked a major advancement in decorative glassmaking at the time. More specifically, this is a reactive paperweight glass vase, a complex variation that changes appearance depending on light. Under reflected light, it shows deep blues and soft swirling tones, while transmitted light would reveal an entirely different palette. This optical transformation is achieved by encasing intricate decoration within layers of molten glass, creating a rich three-dimensional effect. The design features delicate leaves and vines with hints of floral forms suspended beneath the surface. This layered construction, derived from traditional paperweight techniques, gives the piece both depth and movement. Subtle imperfections, such as small blisters and a burst bubble, are part of the original manufacturing process, adding authenticity while slightly influencing condition. Elegant and technically sophisticated, it reflects the peak of early 20th century American art glass, a striking example of Tiffany's innovation and enduring beauty.
I would have put a retail value of $10,000 to $15,000.
Really? Okay. Oh, very nice. Yeah, that's take it out of the closet.
For insurance, maybe $20,000.
Okay.
I brought a painting that was my grandfather's, and it hangs in my bedroom. My grandfather always put some information about whatever he had. So on the back here it says, Mr. Couse, who painted this picture, told me that it was the portrait of a Tlingit Indian of the Columbia River region.
This is an oil on canvas by Edgar Irving Cowles, an American painter born in 1866 and active into the early 20th century. He was classically trained studying in Chicago, New York, and France, which shaped his refined technique around 1897 to 1901. Cowles traveled to Oregon, where he spent time documenting the people of the Northwest Coast tribes, including the Klickitat. This portrait, believed to depict a native individual from the Columbia River region, was likely painted during that period, making the estimated date around 1900 accurate. Cowles later became well known for his work in Taos, New Mexico, where he was a founding member and the first president of the Taos Artist Society. That connection adds depth to his artistic importance. The painting itself reflects both academic training and regional subject matter, combining portraiture with cultural documentation. The inscription preserved by the family adds meaningful provenance. This is not just a portrait, but a historically grounded work by a recognized American artist, linking early Western art with native representation.
I would expect it to bring in the $10,000 to $15,000 range.
That's unbelievable. Thank you.
I would insure it in the $20,000 to $25,000 range.
Thank you.
As far as I know, this is a model 1777, second model Brown Bess that came from Dover, New Hampshire, with the pouch. And as far as I know, it's pretty much untouched.
How'd you get it?
I saw it hanging on the wall of an older couple.
Forged for war, but preserved by time, this musket carries the imprint of an entire military system, identified as a pattern. 1777. Short-land musket, it was one of the standard British infantry weapons of the late 18th century, closely associated with the American Revolutionary War. Rather than being crafted by a single maker, it was assembled through a network of specialists, each responsible for components such as the barrel lock and brass fittings, reflecting the organized production methods of the period. Its appeal lies in both condition and detail. The original browned surface remains intact, untouched by later cleaning, allowing the musket to retain its authentic aged character. Regimental markings bring it firmly into focus. The barrel is stamped 65th Regiment, while the brass wrist plate reads F34, indicating Company F and an individual rack number. These marks transform it from a standard weapon into a documented piece of military history. The set is further enhanced by its accompanying items. A period cartridge box, likely dating from the years after the Revolutionary War into the early 19th century, still holds 24 cartridge loops. The bayonet, marked L-wine for light infantry, adds another layer of distinction, linking it to more mobile and specialized troops. Complete and remarkably well preserved, this grouping offers a direct and tangible link to 18th century warfare. A rare survival of function, identity, and history in one form.
But we would put an auction estimate on all of it in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. Definitely way more than what you paid for it.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for bringing it in.
I brought in an Uncle Sam doorstop. It's really heavy, and it says for the open door policy, which I'm not sure what that was, but it was my grandmother's, and it's been handed down for generations, and now it's mine.
Bold and unmistakable, this cast iron figure turns a simple household object into a statement of history and identity. Depicting Uncle Sam, it was produced in the United States around 1910 to 1920. When foundries in regions like New England and the Midwest were creating both practical items and decorative novelties for everyday use. Cast in solid iron and finished with hand-applied paint. The piece was designed as a doorstop, yet its visual impact goes far beyond function. The base is inscribed, "For the open door," a clever phrase that works both literally and symbolically. It alludes to the open door policy, a diplomatic initiative introduced by the United States around 1899 to promote equal trade access in China, transforming a domestic object into a subtle political reference. What makes this example especially remarkable is its preservation. The original painted surface remains intact with fine crackling that signals age and authenticity. Many similar pieces have lost their paint over time, making surviving examples with untouched surfaces extremely rare. The crisp modeling, particularly in the face, further elevates its appeal. Functional, symbolic, and scarce, it stands as a striking piece of American folk design, a rare object where history and artistry meet.
A conservative auction estimate would be from $10,000 to $15,000.
Wow. Okay.
And the
Go Uncle Sam.
I own a school building in Waldboro, Maine, and we've been renovating the building, turning it into a creative compound. And as the guys were doing demo, in the ceiling, they found a whole bunch of alcohol bottles and these beer cans. They almost kind of threw them all away. I'm like, oh, these look so cool. They're like super graphic.
Hidden above a ceiling for decades, these beer cans reveal a vivid piece of American brewing history. Discovered in Waldoboro, Maine, they belong to the era of the cone-top can, a distinctive design introduced in 1935 and phased out by around 1960. Its bottle-like shape made it familiar and practical at a time when canned beer was still new. These examples were produced by the Croft Brewing Company of Boston, Massachusetts, a brewery that operated from 1934 to 1952 during the surge of activity following the end of Prohibition. The stock ale design stands out with bold graphics, influenced by Art Deco, making it especially appealing to collectors. What truly sets this group apart is condition. Found indoors, the colors remain vibrant with minimal oxidation, a rarity for cans over 80 years old. Even with minor dents and wear, they retain exceptional visual strength. Graphic, historic, and unexpectedly rare, they turn everyday packaging into collectible art. A striking survival from America's post-Prohibition era.
It would easily be $10,000 to $15,000 for the collection.
Amazing. That could help pay for the renovation. Oh, wow. Amazing.
So surprised?
Yeah, so crazy. I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, like $100.
When I was 11, my mother decided to take a leave from her job at the Museum of Modern Art in New York and took us to France, the south of France, for 6 months. We biked all over. One trip, we biked all the way to Valeris because we lived in Saint-Laurent-du-Var, which is outside of Nice, and she bought the plate.
Late in life, when most artists slow down, Pablo Picasso was still reinventing his language through clay. This glazed ceramic plate, created in 1963 at the Madura studio in the south of France, captures that restless energy. Part of a series known as Visage, meaning face, it reflects Picasso's fascination with reducing the human form into bold, expressive lines. By the time he designed this piece, Picasso was 82 years old, yet his creativity remained remarkably active. Since working with Madura from 1947, he had transformed traditional ceramics into a modern artistic medium. Here, fluid brushwork and simplified features create a face that feels both immediate and timeless, balancing spontaneity with control. This example comes from an edition of 150, considered a relatively small production for Picasso ceramics. Each piece was individually numbered, linking it directly to the original design, while still allowing subtle variations in glaze and finish. The result is a work that feels personal despite being part of a series. Vivid and expressive, it shows an artist who never stopped exploring, a lasting mark of Picasso's late creativity.
It's just a period of life that I wouldn't trade for anything. And this is sort of emblematic of it.
And if I were to insure this, I would probably go around $10,000.
Okay.
My grandmother passed away in 1982, I believe. One of her helpers sent us a box of stuff, and this was in it. We saw one very similar to it on Antiques Roadshow many years ago.
Buried for eternity, yet made to serve, this small figure carries the beliefs of an entire civilization. Known as an ushabti, it was created to accompany the dead in ancient Egypt, answering the call to labor in the afterlife. Dating to the 26th dynasty around 664 to 525 BC, during the reign of Psamtik I, it reflects a period often seen as a late renaissance of Egyptian art and culture. Formed in a classic mummiform shape, the figure wears a tripartite wig and holds agricultural tools, a hoe and flail symbols of the work it was meant to perform. A seed bag rests over the shoulder, reinforcing its role as a servant for farming duties beyond death. Inscribed with text from Chapter 6 of the Book of the Dead, it was believed that when called upon, the figure would respond and act in place of the deceased. Crafted in faience, a glazed ceramic material prized in ancient Egypt, its soft pale green tone is characteristic of the Sate period. Subtle staining from burial conditions remains visible, adding to its authenticity while preserving its finely modeled features. Both symbolic and finely made, it represents the enduring connection between art belief and the afterlife, a timeless echo of ancient Egypt.
I think the retail value would be in the region of $8,000 to $10,000.
Okay.
And I would insure it probably for about $15,000.
Very good.
I've had it probably 15 years or so. Came from my father's basement after he was deceased, and his grandfather made it, who immigrated from Sweden into Maine with my 2-year-old grandmother.
Few objects capture both motion and memory as vividly as this striking wooden figure. Created around 1900 by a Swedish immigrant in Stockholm, Maine, it reflects a time when craftsmanship and commerce met along rural roadsides. Figures like this were placed outside general stores or stage stops designed to catch the eye of passing travelers and invite them inside. Carved from solid wood, the piece is enriched with a mix of materials that reveal careful hands on construction. The lower section of the coat is made from painted oilcloth, while the belt is genuine leather. Across the chest, pressed gold foil forms a crossbelt and medallion, adding a subtle decorative contrast. The uniform, once a strong blue, has mellowed with age, and the entire surface remains remarkably untouched. Fine crackling in the varnish and gentle wear across the figure preserve its original finish, a feature highly valued in American folk art collecting. The military styling draws from 19th century Swedish uniforms, yet the figure's deeper meaning lies in its dual role as both advertisement and sculptural expression. It is a rare example where purpose history and artistry remain fully intact. Today, it stands as a quiet but powerful testament to immigrant craftsmanship and early American roadside culture.
We all put our heads together and thought that a good auction estimate for this figure would be $8,000 to $12,000.
Interesting.
On the roadshow. Don't put it out on the dock anymore.
No, I was just an experiment. He twisted a little bit in the breeze. So do I.
It's a gift from my father, who was a Pan Am pilot from 1940
through 1975. And he made the acquaintance of a reservation supervisor, and the guy gave him a year's worth of posters like this.
When air travel was still a symbol of luxury, posters like this invited the world to dream. This 1949 Pan American Airways travel poster designed by Boris Artzybashev captures the spirit of that era with striking imagination and bold design. Known for his work with major magazines and corporations, Artzybashev brought a distinctive artistic vision to commercial advertising. The scene promotes Bermuda as an exotic escape surrounded by deep blue waters and lush greenery. The capital, Hamilton, is quietly marked while a graceful mermaid rises from the sea, blending fantasy with geography. In her hands are Bermuda Easter lilies, adding elegance and symbolic charm. Above, the Boeing 377 Stratocruiser glides across the sky, representing one of the most luxurious aircraft of its time and reinforcing the allure of flight itself. Rich in color and movement, the composition reflects a time when airlines sold not just destinations, but an entire experience. With its original margins preserved, it remains especially appealing to collectors. A vivid image of travel at its most glamorous.
I would estimate this piece between $8,000 and $12,000.
Seriously? Wow.
If it turns out the margins aren't here and what we see is what we get, it would still be a $4,000 or $5,000 piece.
Wow. Very impressive. Yeah.
I think they came from my great-grandmother's house in Kentucky. They ended up with my grandma here, and when she passed away, my dad cleaned everything out, and they almost ended up in the dumpster, but my wise, brilliant mother saved them from the garbage and had them under her bed for like the last 15 years.
Nearly lost to time, these portraits survive as quiet witnesses to an early American past. Painted in oil on board, they depict a husband and wife likely created between 1810 and 1820, based on the clothing and style. The woman's high-waisted empire silhouette and the gentleman's attire reminiscent of the War of 1812 era firmly anchor them in the early 19th century. Their construction offers further clues. The wooden panels show a subtle greenish tone characteristic of poplar, a material commonly used in the mid-Atlantic and southern United States. This detail supports their American origin, likely from regions such as Kentucky, Alabama, or Mississippi. What makes the pair especially compelling is their remarkable condition. The surfaces remain largely untouched, preserving delicate details like the lacework on the bonnet, the pink ribbon, and the finely rendered textures of clothing and hair. The original frames appear to have been later painted, and the absence of decorative eglomized glass leaves the uneven oval edges visible, adding to their raw authenticity. Though the artist remains unknown, the craftsmanship speaks clearly. Intimate, expressive, and preserved against the odds, they offer a rare glimpse into early American portraiture. A pair that carries both history and presence.
I would suggest putting an insurance value of $7,500 on the pair.
Oh my goodness. It's more than I thought. Wow. Wow. Okay. They almost got thrown away. That's amazing.
And when you pulled them out of the box, my heart started beating faster and I couldn't contain my excitement.
I'm glad my mom was smart enough to save them.
It belonged to my mother, who died about 4 years ago. She lived in Tokyo for a long time, and she started a great collection of Asian art.
Serene and timeless. This bronze figure reflects centuries of devotion and artistic tradition, depicting Guanyin, the Bodhisattva of mercy. It originates from China during the Ming Dynasty, likely dating from the late 16th to mid-17th century. Revered across East Asia. Guanyin embodies compassion, protection, and spiritual grace, making such figures central to both temple worship and private devotion. Cast in bronze using traditional methods. The figure retains evidence of its original construction, including traces of the red clay core used during the casting process. Its proportions, particularly the scale of the head and the calm, balanced posture, are characteristic of Ming period sculpture. The figure once held a lotus, a symbol of purity, and still bears remnants of its original form. Originally, the surface would have been entirely gilded. What remains today are fragments of gilt lacquer, a technique where gold was applied over a lacquer coating. Over time, the lacquer has dried and flaked away, revealing glimpses of the brilliant gold beneath, adding both texture and authenticity to the piece. Graceful and deeply symbolic, it represents both spiritual belief and refined craftsmanship. A lasting image of compassion cast in bronze.
I think this would have perhaps a conservative auction value of $7,000 to $10,000.
Wow. Wow. My mother would be so excited if she was here. And I'm very certain that's not what she paid for it.
It's quite a souvenir.
I found it in a barn in Winthrop, Maine in 1988. It was my great aunt's barn. I'd never seen anything like it, and I just fell in love with it.
Some of the most unexpected discoveries come from the quietest places. What began as a find in a barn turns out to be a striking example of American craftsmanship. This piece belongs to the tradition of Adirondack furniture, often called twig furniture, which developed across New England and the mid-Atlantic in the late 19th century. It emerged alongside the arts and crafts movement when makers focused on handcrafted design using natural materials. The construction reflects that philosophy. The frame appears to be made from laurel or similar wood, with the bark removed combined with elements of willow or vine. Each piece is cut and fitted together almost like a puzzle, giving it a distinctive handmade character. Details such as the nails indicate it was made after 1880. Placing it firmly within the height of this style, which remained popular into the early 20th century. Pieces like this were often created for rustic lodges, especially as urban families sought retreats in mountainous regions. What sets this example apart is its strong visual presence. While many examples are more subdued, this one has a bold graphic quality that makes it especially appealing. The historical photograph, tied to Danvers, Massachusetts, and dated 1899, supports both its origin and period, adding an extra layer of context. This is not just rustic furniture. It is a compelling piece of American folk art, combining function, creativity, and regional identity.
I think a retail price for a folk art show would probably be around $6,500.
Wow. That's great for a barn find.
Let's see, you got anything else in the barn?
Bunch of chicken coops.
I brought in a crock from 1818. It's been in the family. There was a farm at one point outside Philly that my grandfather had, and he rented out the barn and all. We had a place we could go and stay there, and whether that came from that area.
Some of the most meaningful objects are the ones that have stayed within a family for generations. What appears to be a simple storage jar reveals itself as an early piece of American pottery. This is a redware jar, dated 1818, most likely produced in Chester County, Pennsylvania, an area well known for its pottery traditions in the late 18th and early 19th centuries. The form, with its rounded body and applied handles, is consistent with regional examples made from locally sourced clay. The decoration is particularly telling. The use of slip decoration, along with manganese markings and touches of copper oxide that create green tones, strongly supports its attribution to this region. While influenced by styles from Philadelphia, pieces from Chester County often show a more individual and expressive character. An unusual feature is the presence of different styles of lettering and numbering, suggesting that more than one decorator may have worked on the piece. This is not commonly seen and adds to its interest. Originally, jars like this were purely utilitarian, used for storing liquids or dry goods, despite minor chips and wear, which are expected for redware. The piece remains a strong and desirable example of early American pottery.
You could put at auction in the range of $6,000 to $8,000.
Wow. And I used to keep it at the top of the stairs, and then when I saw something on Roadshow, I was like, maybe I shouldn't leave that at the top of the stairs.
My wife and I went to a little consignment shop, and I saw this and I went, whoa, this thing, that can't be real, I didn't think, because the colors were so beautiful.
Hidden behind an ordinary frame for decades, this striking image reveals a forgotten chapter of American advertising, created around 1895 to 1900. This embossed tin sign features Henry George, the influential economist and author of Progress and Poverty, whose ideas resonated deeply with working-class America during the Industrial Revolution. Produced for Hirshhorn Mack and Company in New York, the sign reflects the growing sophistication of late 19th century marketing. It was manufactured by the Tuscarora Advertising Company, a pioneering firm that helped advance printing techniques of the era. Using early offset lithography on metal, they achieved vivid color, fine detail, and durable imagery, making signs like this both eye-catching and long-lasting. The composition blends bold graphics with a recognizable public figure, appealing to a wide audience while promoting cigar branding. Its preservation is especially remarkable, having remained concealed for many years, protecting its surface and color from wear. Visually powerful and historically rich, it captures a moment when advertising technology and culture converged. A rare survivor from the golden age of American signage.
I would put a conservative auction estimate on it of $4,000 to $6,000.
Wow. Wow, okay. That's pretty cool.
This is a denim jacket that was owned by my dad when he was a kid. He was born in 1936, so it likely would have been his parents that would have gotten it for him. He was probably 7 or 8-ish.
Worn in childhood and preserved through generations, this denim jacket captures the early legacy of one of America's most iconic brands. Identified as a Levi's Type 1 jacket, it dates to the late 1930s to early 1940s, a formative period in the evolution of denim workwear. Originally known as the 506XX blouse, it represents Levi's first true denim jacket design, laying the foundation for everything that followed. Its details firmly anchor it in this early era. The single chest pocket with flap the signature front pleats, stitched for adjustability, and the back cinch all reflect a time when garments were built for durability and fit. The silver-toned cinch buckle and absence of wartime simplifications indicate it predates World War II production changes. The iconic red Levi's Big E tab, printed on one side, further confirms its vintage status. The deep indigo color remains remarkably strong, with natural fading at the collar and elbows that speaks to authentic wear rather than later alteration. Uncut pleats add to its desirability, preserving the jacket's original structure and intent. Both functional and collectible, it stands as a cornerstone of vintage denim history, a rare survivor from the beginnings of modern American style.
I would think at an auction, an estimate of $3,000 to $5,000 would be about right.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really cool. I think my dad would be proud to know that, and I know my family would be proud to know that. We'll certainly take care of it.
It's my wife's grandparents' clock, purchased by her grandfather. My wife remembers it always being in the house growing up.
Some timepieces are valued not only for their function, but for the craftsmanship and tradition they represent. This clock is a fine example of late 19th century horology. This is a bracket clock retailed by J.E. Caldwell, a prominent name in Philadelphia, known for offering clocks of the highest quality rather than manufacturing them. The form reflects the Victorian period, dating to around 1880. The movement is particularly impressive, featuring a robust construction with few C compensation, a system designed to maintain consistent power. The dial includes several advanced features, including a strike control that allows the clock to run silent or chime on the quarter hour and hour. At the center is a regulating dial, allowing fine adjustments without accessing the pendulum, an elegant solution to changes caused by temperature variation. The case is made of mahogany richly decorated with brass mounts, including Corinthian capitals, fluted columns, and floral details. The overall design reflects a classical influence crowned by multiple finials. The inclusion of the Westminster chime associated with Big Ben, installed in 1859, helps confirm its production after that date. This is a refined and high-quality Victorian clock combining technical sophistication with decorative excellence.
In a retail setting, this probably has a value of somewhere to $3,000 to $4,000. Once it's serviced, this clock should easily make somewhere in the $6,500, $7,000 price range.
Oh, that's great.
I'm a sports fan. I'm a baseball fan primarily, but I do love hockey, and I love Wayne Gretzky. He was at a sports show right after he broke the record, and he signed it for my dad for me.
This is a game-issued stick made for Wayne Gretzky, widely considered the greatest player in hockey history, often compared to Babe Ruth in baseball. The stick was produced by Easton Sporting Goods, built to Gretzky's exact specifications, even though it was not used in an actual game. What makes this piece exceptional is the signature. It features a bold autograph from Wayne Gretzky, along with the inscription 802, marking the moment on March 23, 1994, when he surpassed Gordie Howe to become the all-time leading goal scorer in the NHL. Equally important is the provenance. A photograph showing Gretzky with the original owner's father holding the stick provides a direct historical connection, something collectors highly value. While game-issued sticks are generally less desirable than game-used sticks, this example stands apart due to its signature condition and documentation.
I would estimate this between $2,000 and $3,000, and I would insure it for no less than $5,000.
Wow. Yeah, that's entirely over what I thought. It's never going anywhere, and it's not going back in the closet. I will take care of it properly now.
This is as good as it gets for a game-issued stick, without question.
That's incredible.
I brought a spearhead. I found it on my folks' property out of Mandan, North Dakota in about 1947.
How old were you when you found it?
Oh, you'd ask that.
Shaped thousands of years before recorded history. This small stone point carries the legacy of North America's earliest inhabitants. Found in Mandan, North Dakota, it is crafted from Knife River flint, a material prized for both its durability and its remarkable translucency when held to the light. Dating broadly from the Archaic to Woodland periods, approximately 8000 BC to around AD 1200. The piece belongs to a time before formal tribal identities as we know them today. Instead, cultures are understood through their tools and technologies. Its form, including the worked edges and base shape, reflects adaptation to changing environments from post-Ice Age hunting to the gradual introduction of agriculture and pottery. Knife River flint is unique to a small region in western North Dakota, making artifacts like this especially significant. Its glass-like quality allowed for precise shaping, resulting in tools that were both functional and highly valued in trade among indigenous groups. Simple in appearance, yet rich in meaning, this point is more than a tool. It is a direct link to early human ingenuity on the American plain.
I would expect it to bring in the $2,000 to $4,000 range.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Thank you.
They were a gift to me from my mother-in-law and her aunt. They were from a cottage, a seaside cottage in Maine outside of Portland that I think my great-aunt-in-law got in the late 50s.
Shaped by place as much as by function, these striking objects bring a piece of coastal life into the hearth. This pair of cast iron andirons formed as lobsters reflects a distinctly regional character tied to Maine, where maritime culture and daily life often influenced decorative design. Likely made in the second half of the 19th century, they were probably produced locally, possibly near Portland, Maine, using simple sand casting techniques. Their construction is direct and unrefined, created by pressing a form into sand to produce a mold before casting in iron. The result is a bold sculptural interpretation of the lobster, a symbol long associated with the region. Designed to sit permanently in a fireplace, andirons, also known as fire dogs, served both a practical role in supporting logs and a decorative one in defining the hearth. Over time, both pieces have been repaired with visible reinforcements at the rear arms. Though somewhat crude, these repairs tell their own story, suggesting they were valued enough to be preserved rather than replaced.
In a good antique shop in Maine, I see them at least $2,000, possibly $2,500.
Okay, great, but I love them.
This beautiful gal here is?
My mother.
Wow.
Probably this picture was taken in the early 40s.
Every now and then, an object tells a story that feels almost too perfect to be true. This cameo is one of those rare moments where artistry and personal history come together. This is a finely carved cameo made from conch shell, most likely produced in Naples, Italy, the historic center of cameo craftsmanship. The level of detail is exceptional, capturing the subject with remarkable precision and lifelike character. One particularly unusual feature is the direction of the profile. While most cameos face right, this one faces left, a rarer choice that adds to its uniqueness. The frame is equally striking, designed with a garland and ribbon motif in gold. Beyond its beauty, the gold itself carries intrinsic value and enhances the overall presence of the piece. Given its quality and likeness, this was almost certainly a commissioned portrait likely created during the Second World War, when such keepsakes held deep emotional meaning. This is not just jewelry, but a personal work of art that blends memory craftsmanship and historical context.
I would say at auction, probably $1,500 to $2,000.
That's great.
You're not selling it.
No.
For insurance, $3,000.
Terrific, that's great to know.
But I'm telling you, all the years we're doing this, never did it match up like this.
I brought in mid-century modern furniture that I inherited from my uncle.
Mid-century modern design often speaks through restraint, and this pairing captures that language perfectly. The desk model 1560 by Paul McCobb was part of the planner group produced by the Winchendon Furniture Company in the 1950s, a line celebrated for bringing clean, modern design into everyday American homes. Its balanced proportions and minimal detailing reflect McCobb's focus on simplicity and function. Alongside it is the iconic DCM chair by Charles and Ray Eames, introduced in 1945 as part of their groundbreaking work with molded plywood. This example dates to about 1954 to 1960, identified by its oval shock mounts and boot glides features that place it after the earliest Evans Products Company production and within the Herman Miller era. Even with a minor backrest adjustment needed, it retains its classic sculptural form. Together, these pieces embody the clarity and innovation of mid-20th century design, a timeless expression of modern living.
We would expect the desk to sell between $600 and $800.
Okay.
And we would expect the chair to sell at auction between $700 and $900.
Okay. That's great.
I came across this fan, and it was probably in the 1990s, and I used to go to some West Hartford, Connecticut shows, and they were vintage shows with various jewelry and materials.
Sometimes the smallest purchases lead to the biggest surprises. What once seemed like a simple decorative fan turns out to be something far more refined. This is a 19th century Tiffany lace fan, still preserved in its original silk-covered Tiffany box, an important detail that adds both authenticity and appeal. The fan features delicate hand needle lace combined with mother-of-pearl guards and sticks, showing the fine craftsmanship associated with Tiffany accessories. One of the most important details is found at the base, a loop marked Tiffany, along with a 14-karat gold mark confirming the presence of gold elements. While subtle, this contributes meaningfully to the overall value. The condition is quite good, with only slight discoloration along the lower section, likely from long-term contact with the structure. This kind of wear is typical for pieces of this age. Fans like this were often sold as accessible luxury items, allowing buyers to own a Tiffany piece without purchasing high-end jewelry.
Where the value is coming from, I'd given an auction estimate of $800 to $1,200.
Oh, that is just wonderful.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed the show tremendously today, so it's been fantastic.
Back in 1943, my dad was in the 95th Infantry Division. They did some desert training, and he had a Saturday off. They went to the Universal Studios and sat down, and all these different movie stars went through, saw that they were military personnel, and offered to sign the menu.
Sometimes the smallest keepsakes hold the biggest stories. This menu, dated November 13th, 1943, from the Universal Studios commissary, captures a vivid moment when wartime America met the golden age of Hollywood. During World War II, studios often welcomed service members offering brief escapes from the realities of war through encounters with film stars. The menu itself reflects the era's patriotic spirit. Its daily specials promote war bond efforts with phrases encouraging support for the troops, a reminder of how deeply the war effort reached into everyday life. Yet what elevates this piece beyond a simple souvenir is the remarkable collection of autographs gathered across its surface, signed by notable figures such as Donald O'Connor, Olivia de Havilland, Bette Davis, and Janet Gaynor. It preserves a rare moment of connection between soldiers and Hollywood's brightest stars. The natural fold lines only add to its authenticity, suggesting it was once carried as a personal memento. A fragile piece of paper, yet a powerful snapshot of 1943.
At auction, it's about a $600 to $800 menu.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.